Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to really dig into our sources and pull out the key insights for you. Today we've got a story that, honestly, it kind of defies expectations. It's about a life journey, quite winding, but ending in, well, real contentment. We're looking at how one person handled some major life changes and did it with this amazing sense of gratitude. And get this, zero regrets.
Yeah, our source is an interview Chelsea did sharing the life story of this woman. And our goal here, our mission, if you like, is to figure out how things like chance or serendipity and personal strength plus a unique way of thinking can build a really fulfilling life, even when that life looks nothing like the original plan.
Exactly. And this story, it offers such a compelling way to think about, embracing the unexpected and maybe redefining what success even means. We're going to explore how she managed to accept and even kind of celebrate a path that she herself said was quite random in some really key moments.
It sounds fascinating. A story about adapting and finding joy, even when things don't go according to some grand design.
Precisely. Okay, so let's start unpacking this. Where is she now? Let's ground ourselves in the present. She's currently a full-time stay-at-home mom in Indiana in the U.S. She has 2 young kids, almost 3 years old, and about 8 months old.
Right. And the way she talks about her life now is interesting. She says it's a bit busy, a bit chaotic, but overall quite good. You get this real sense of presence. She mentions the kids are well-behaved, which, let's be honest, is a huge plus for any parent.
Oh, absolutely. A blessing, really.
Weekends sound-packed, family trips and stuff. But weekdays offer a bit more room for her to adjust. It paints a picture of someone who's found contentment right where she is.
Grounded,
Exactly.
despite the chaos of 2 little ones.
Yeah.
Which is striking, especially when you hear about her academic background later. So the big question is, how did she get here? What were those early experiences that maybe set the stage for this nonlinear path?
Let's rewind. Way back. High school.
We're talking Fujian, China. 2004. Her senior year. Now, you usually think of senior year in China, especially back then, as this intense pressure cooker, right? Gaokao prep.
Oh, absolutely. Grueling study schedules. Immense pressure.
But she describes her senior year as relaxing. Can you believe that? Even more relaxed than her first couple of years of high school.
That immediately makes you ask why. What was different? Well, she explains her school wasn't one of the top-tier ones. It was an ordinary rural middle school, she called it. They didn't have a lot of experience getting kids into, the very best universities.
Okay.
And she'd heard the stories, senior year burnout. So she made a conscious choice, a really proactive one, to look after her mental and physical health first.
And how she did that is really something. She actually skipped the usual morning self-study sessions. Completely avoided them.
Wow, that takes guts in that environment.
Instead, she went running by the sea with her dad every day.
That sounds idyllic, almost.
Her thinking was, and this is pretty sharp for a teenager, if you get burned out in senior year, you'll be completely ruined. So she figured better to relax. She felt the material was mostly review by then anyway, and she genuinely believed being healthy, mentally and physically, would help her perform better on the actual exams.
That's incredible self-awareness, sort of trusting her own process over the conventional wisdom.
Totally. So after that kind of high school experience, you might expect a very carefully planned university path, but nope, it was just as unexpected. Her Gaokao year, 2004, was apparently a bit unusual for Fujian province.
Oh, how so?
First year, they had their own independent questions, separate from the national standard. First-time students got their scores before applying to universities.
Ah, okay, that's a big change. Knowing your score first shifts the strategy.
And they introduced this key university cutoff line. So a new tier system was kind of emerging.
Right, connecting that to the bigger picture, it was a time of educational reform, so more unpredictability.
Her teachers thought she had a shot at Xiamen University. But then an uncle stepped in. He'd talked to teachers from a more prestigious key high school.
Okay, family advice channel.
And they suggested Xiamen University. So she looks it up, sees physics listed as a major, and just picks it. No real prior interest, no research. She flat out called the choice. Quite random.
Just, wow. Physics. Randomly.
Yeah.
It really shows how sometimes these huge life decisions can hinge on, well, almost nothing. A suggestion, a quick glance at a list.
Incredible, isn't it? But despite that random entry, she seemed to thrive. She said university life was simple and pure.
Simple and pure. That sounds nice.
Yeah, she talked about having really good relationships with classmates, and she actually enjoyed studying physics, which is lucky. given how she chose it.
Definitely lucky. Or maybe just adaptable.
Maybe. She said she hadn't really pictured what university would be like beforehand, so there were no major letdowns, just a positive, straightforward time.
It sounds like she just took it as it came, which fits the pattern, right?
It does. And she shared this really vivid memory from university, experiencing the massive 5/12 Sichuan earthquake. They felt it strongly in Xi'an.
Oh, wow, that must have been terrifying.
She remembers the building shaking, swaying, but her own reaction, she thought, quite calmly apparently, if I wasn't knocked down by the first tremor, the rest would be fine.
That's quite a reaction, very stoic, almost detached.
Yeah. And she remembered her professor, a thin, small female teacher, who didn't just run out like some others reportedly did.
Okay.
This teacher first checked for official confirmation it was an earthquake, then calmly told the students to evacuate. Real leadership under pressure.
That's impressive, a detail you wouldn't forget.
No. And she also had this funny memory of her dorm mates going out to buy snacks and then kind of hiding in their dorm room, finding the whole disruption almost fun.
Haha. Well, students find ways to cope, right? Maybe a bit of nervous energy.
Probably. And she mentioned the classic student experience too, pulling all-nighters for exams. Some things are universal.
Oh, yeah. Definitely universal.
Okay, so she finishes undergrad physics. What's next? She planned to study for the grad school entrance exams. That was the plan.
Right, the standard path.
But then she gets a recommendation. Sort of. Accidentally. Another twist.
Accidentally? Or were there underlying reasons? It sounds like things often happen to her, but maybe she positioned herself well.
That's a good point. It wasn't pure luck. Her grades were solid, above average, she said. But her extracurriculars seemed key.
Ah, okay. What did she do?
Well, back in freshman year, she took over this student club that was kind of struggling, turned it around, became president. And then in junior year, she was a class organizer. Very involved.
So showing leadership initiative, that stuff gets noticed.
Exactly. Plus, her English scores were pretty good, those CET4 and CET6 tests they have in China. That helped her stand out, too.
Mm-hmm. So a combination of academics, leadership, and language skills.
Yeah. And her teacher saw her character. Apparently, she was good at getting students together for announcements, that kind of thing. One teacher saw this as, good character, good leadership potential.
Right.
And that perception led to her getting offered this recommendation spot that opened up late. It was for X Institute for Optics.
Optics. So a shift from applied physics.
A big shift.
Mm-hmm.
Cross-school and cross-major.
That raises a question, though. Why didn't she just stay at her university if she liked it? Why move for grad school?
She had a specific reason. She believed that doing serious research-level physics experiments often needed really expensive equipment.
Funding is always an issue in research.
And she felt many universities just didn't have the funding for the kind of gear needed to do truly meaningful work in her area of physics. So moving to a specialized institute like the one for optics made sense from a practical, research-focused perspective.
That's quite pragmatic, thinking about the actual doing of the science, not just the prestige of the place.
Yeah, very much so.
So how is graduate school different from undergrad for her?
A big change, she said. Much more individualistic. Less social time, more focus purely on your own research project.
Yeah, that sounds typical for advanced research. It can be quite isolating.
She mentioned having fewer close friends during that time because everyone was sort of in their own research silo.
Makes sense. The focus narrows dramatically at that level.
And that path continued. She decided to go for a Ph.D. In the U.S., still focused on optics and lasers, so building on her master's work.
Okay, so a clear progression there, academically.
But it wasn't easy. She applied the first year, didn't get in.
Setbacks happen.
But she didn't give up. Applied again and got in the next time. She acknowledged it was, in her words, quite a long journey.
Persistence definitely seems to be a theme here. Running by the seat instead of cramming, applying again after rejection.
Absolutely. So, okay, she goes through this long journey, gets a Ph.D. in optics in the U.S., highly specialized field. You'd think, okay, clear career path ahead now, right? Research, academia, industry.
That would be the standard assumption, yes.
But that's not where her path led next, as we know from the beginning. Which brings us to maybe the biggest pivot. From Ph.D. scientist to full-time stay-at-home mom in Indiana.
And that's such a crucial part of her story, isn't it? It really drives home her ability to redefine success on her own terms. The interview doesn't spell out every single step of that transition, but the underlying message is clear. This was another conscious choice.
Not something she just fell into, but an active decision.
Exactly. Not seeing it as a step back or a failure to use her PhD, but as embracing a different, equally valuable phase of life, applying that same focus and gratitude she showed in her studies to raising her family.
Valuing the present her family over maybe external expectations of what someone with her credentials should be doing.
That's it. It's a powerful example of charting your own course, truly.
So when she looks back on this whole winding road, I mean, rural high school, random university choice, accidental recommendation, the long PhD slog, and now being a mom, how does she feel about it all? What's the takeaway feeling?
It's genuinely remarkable. Her main feeling seems to be this profound sense of peace and gratitude. She said something really striking. Once I start walking a path, I won't think about whether the decision I made earlier was good or not.
Wow. Just focus forward.
Yes. I usually just think about moving forward and doing it well. That commitment to the present path,
Right.
without second-guessing the past, is incredibly powerful.
It really is. Where does that come from, do you think?
Well, maybe it comes from practice. Think about it. Deciding to run by the sea instead of cramming, that was trusting herself early on.
Right? Going against the grain.
Then choosing physics randomly, getting the accidental recommendation each time. She had to kind of commit fully to the path she suddenly found herself on. She couldn't really look back.
True. She had to make it work.
So maybe that constant engagement, that practice of just diving into whatever was next, cultivated this ability to be present and grateful because she really lived each stage. She mentioned genuinely enjoying the lab work, the experiments, even when professors pushed her hard.
And the bottom line, no regrets. She explicitly said no regrets.
None. And when asked what she'd tell her younger self, she didn't offer advice. She just said, "Thank you for what you did."
That's beautiful, actually.
Isn't it? She feels she gave 100% to everything she tried, and she feels very grateful for all those experiences, the good and the challenging, and for the people she met. It's just this deep sense of acceptance and appreciation.
So we've taken this deep dive into a life that really shows how being adaptable, keeping an optimistic view, and just appreciating the ride, how that can lead to a really rich life. Even if, maybe especially if, it doesn't follow a straight line or the plan you thought you had. It's about living life on your own terms.
Absolutely. And her story really drives home the point that knowledge, like her PhD, is valuable, but applying wisdom and critical thinking to life itself, that's maybe even more important. She used her intelligence not just for optics problems, but for navigating these huge life choices with an open mind and a willingness to adapt.
Yeah.
It definitely shows there isn't just one definition of success, and sometimes the best outcomes are waiting down those unexpected side roads.
So maybe something for you, our listener, to think about. We live in a world that often pushes for rigid plans, right? 5-year plans, 10-year plans, hitting certain milestones by certain ages. But what if the most powerful thing we can do is learn to embrace the detours, to trust that inner compass, even when it points somewhere unexpected, and to find real gratitude in the journey as it unfolds, not just waiting for some future destination? What does it actually mean for you to live a life with no regrets and much gratitude, something to mull over until our next deep dive?